Good day, everybody, and welcome to our webinar on adjusting posted payments. I'm Mark Werber, the Director of Association Management Services. I'm joined today by two AMS support representatives, Diane Clem.
Hi, everyone.
And Frank Rittersdorf.
Hello, all.
We're coming to you today live from Simi Valley, California. We're in our multimedia suite for today's webinar. I'd like to introduce from left to right Sabrina and Mark Boatman. They're turning the knobs behind the scenes. There I am in the middle, and then Diane and Frank. Let's get started, guys.
The version of Magic that we'll use for the presentations will always be the newest version, and right now it's version 9.28.13. Now, if you've not upgraded to the latest and greatest, you may see a difference, and specifically for this webinar, we will be maybe taking a look at the AR, and it may look a little bit different than the Magic that you use on a daily basis. If you've not upgraded, give our support a call. We'll schedule you for that free upgrade.
Thanks, Frank. And today's agenda, we're going to take a look at some typical oops situations when you're posting payments to your members. We're going to look at the situation where we posted a payment to an invoice created using an incorrect charge code within the same member record. We're going to look at payments that have been posted to the incorrect member and history's been updated or posted to the GL. We're going to look at how to make those corrections in Magic. We're going to correct the payment. We're going to make the AR reflect exactly what the member owes, or as we like to put it, we're going to take it to the next level.
Okay, so this webinar is on adjusting posted payments, or payments that have already been updated to history or the general ledger. If a payment has not been updated to history or the money received is not reflected in your GL already, then you can simply void the receipt or issue a credit directly through the receipt history form.
Now let's talk about a typical oops situation. Now, this situation is regarding a posted payment to the wrong service or even product. Now, our favorite member came into our office a couple of months ago, Carol Barker, and she wanted to purchase a sold sign. I, created an invoice for a for sale sign. I did not notice it for, like I said, a month later after the GL has been posted. So what I need to do now is take the dollar value and have that represent the correct item or charge code, per se, in the AR.
How do we
make
do
that corrections in Magic?
Okay.
Now that we have your attention.
That's right. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is go over the steps to take to make those corrections in Magic. We're going to correct the member's AR for Carol Barker, and keep in mind this is not a payment thing. It's only an AR thing. We're not actually moving money. We're just correcting the accounts receivable for Carol. First thing we're going to do is create a negative or a credit invoice using the same incorrect charge code that we used to create the incorrect invoice.
So I will take you in Magic, and I'm going to bring you to the cash receipts posting form. It's a nice little cash register at the very top in our ribbon. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to zoom in and select our batch. I'm going to type in Carol Barker's member number because I'm the best sales or staff, association staffs, because I remember all of our member numbers. Just kidding. And now we can see Carol Barker's AR in here. From here, like Diane mentioned, we need to create an invoice, and it's going to be a negative invoice for the incorrect charge code. So I'm going to click on the Sales Create Invoice button. I'm going to go to the quantity and hit -1. Put in the charge code, and you can see it's the for sale sign, and the negative amount is there. I'm now going to hit charge twice. It will create a invoice for me and give me the number, and now you can see the negative invoice and in her AR. Diane, what's the next step?
The next step, Frank, is to go ahead and create a debit or a positive invoice using the correct charge code in the same member's account.
Okay, so we're already in the cash receipts posting form with Carol Barker's account. I'm going to go back to the create invoice. I'm going to use a positive number, and this time I'm going to use the correct charge code, the charge code that she really did purchase, and that's the sold sign. And again, you see the amount. I'm going to hit charge twice, gives us the invoice number, and it takes us back to the AR and the cash receipts posting form. And now you can see both or two invoices for the same amount, one negative, one positive, outstanding.
Finally, we're going to use a $0 non-monetary transaction to create a receipt and apply the two invoices together.
So we're in the cash receipts posting form. I'm going to go to the amount field and I'm going to leave it 0 because, like we had mentioned before, we are not receiving any new funds. We are actually just kind of adjusting how the AR looks and correcting it. So I'm going to put an N for non-monetary transaction in the payment type. I'm going to type in a quick reference, which is going to be wrong charge code. Now we only have the two invoices outstanding, so I can go down and I can actually tab through and hit Pay All, which pays off or applies the amounts due. And I will hit Post, and I'll hit that twice, which will give us a receipt number and an invoice number, and our transaction is done.
All right, so now the correct item is showing as having been purchased in Carol's AR. We've corrected that mistake.
Thanks, Diane.
You're welcome.
And now Mark is going to talk to us about an advanced typical oops situation.
Okay, in this accounting situation, you've posted the payment to the wrong member. For example, around dues time, let's just say we paid off Carol Barker's accounts receivable. We paid off her dues in full. We updated the general ledger, ran all of our updates to history, and at some time in the future we realized that that wasn't Carol Barker's check, that was actually Clive Barker's check. So how do we make the adjustment? We need to show Carol Barker's accounts receivable as outstanding and then move the payment to Clive Barker's account to show his account as paid in full. How do we make the corrections in Magic? Good questions, guys. So we're going to show you how payments posted to the wrong members are corrected. It's a two-step process. First, we have to correct Carol Barker's AR. Her account was paid in full with a misapplied payment. The next step is to adjust Clive Barker's account. We need to show his accounts receivable as paid in full. The first step we're going to do is fix Carol Barker's record by creating a debit or positive invoice using our adjustment charge code. So
go ahead.
We're navigating back to Magic, where we're going to pull up Carol Barker's cash receipts.
With our extraordinary staff member who knows all the numbers by heart.
As you can see, she owes no money because the invoice that we misapplied is paid in full. So we're going to go to Create Invoice.
And now once we're in the sales invoice form, we're going to go ahead, like Mark said, put a negative quantity of an adjustment charge code.
Actually, this is a debit.
It's a positive.
Oh.
We need to show that she owes money, not that we owe her money, Frank. So we need to use a quantity of +1.
There we go. There's our correction of an adjustment charge code.
And keep in mind you can use any charge code that you use for the purpose of adjusting these mistakes. It doesn't have to be called ADJ. That's just what we call it for our purpose of demonstration.
And I did change the description to dues so that when the invoice is outstanding, we can at least look at the description and see what that is for. So once I put in the correct amount, I'm going to hit charge twice. It will give us the invoice number. And now you can see that the invoice is outstanding.
Okay, so what we've done is we've adjusted Carol Barker's accounts receivable to show an amount outstanding on her account. She now owes us $327. The next step is to correct Clive Barker's accounts receivable. He still owes us $327. We need to create a credit or a negative invoice using that same adjustment charge code. So we're going to navigate back to Magic in Cash Receipts Posting Form and pull up Clive Barker's cash receipts.
And there is Clive Barker. And now we can see that he does have a dues invoice outstanding. I'm going to create the invoice, and now I'm going to put in a negative amount for the adjustment and be $327. I am going to hit charge, and now you can see we have 2 invoices outstanding for the same amount.
Okay, now that he has both a debit and credit of the same dollar amount, we now need to use a zero or non-monetary transaction to apply the debits and credits against each other.
So, again, we're at the cash receipts posting form, and it's kind of a theme that we have here. We're going to go into the amount field and leave it at 0, because, again, no new funds are taken in. We're going to use the N for non-monetary transaction, and we're going to use a reference of misapplied payment. Then we're going to tab down into the invoices section here, and since it's the only 2 outstanding, I'm going to go ahead and hit pay all, which will apply the balances, and then I will hit post twice, give us a receipt number and an invoice number, and that transaction is finished.
Clyde Barker's AR is now paid in full.
Now, let's take it to the next level. And what I mean by that, we are going to correct Carol Barker's AR. And you're probably asking why. She already has the amount of $327 due, which is what exactly she owes. But we want to make sure that the AR is an accurate representation of what is outstanding. Right now, her invoice that's outstanding is an adjustment invoice, not the dues invoices. We also want to make sure the history is accurate for that member record. Right now, on Carol's history record and her member record, it says that she has paid her dues. She has not really paid her dues. So, the steps we're about to make will rectify that. The first step is we're going to create a credit or negative invoice using the original charge codes.
So we're back in the cash receipts posting form, and we're going to pull up Carol Barker's record.
And now we need to create the invoice. So we're going to click on that button. And again, now it's time to put in the negative. And we're going to quickly put in the actual dues charge codes. And hit charge twice, create the invoice, and now you can see that they're both outstanding. Now that we have a debit and a credit invoices out there for the same amount, we're going to use a $0 non-monetary transaction to apply the both invoices. So let's go back to Magic, and where do you think we're going to go? Cash receipts posting. So now we're going to go to the amount field. Again, leave that at 0. We're going to put the payment type as non-monetary transaction. You can put a reference number or whatever you would like. But I'm going to tab down, and I'm going to hit pay all and hit post. Gives us the receipt number and invoice number. And now they have been paid off. Now the next step is we're going to recreate the original invoice so that it's now outstanding again. Because, again, Carol Barker has not paid her dues invoice. So since we're already in cash receipts posting, I'm just going to type in Carol Barker's member number again. I'm going to go right to the create invoice, and as most of you probably know, there are about 3 to 5 different ways to do one task in Magic, but we're choosing to do this in going through the cash receipts posting form and quickly type in the charge codes. Now they're all ready to be charged. Creates the invoice number, and now you can see she has an invoice that's outstanding for $327, and it is represented by the correct dues charge codes. So, to reiterate, the amount is now outstanding. The amount is represented by the correct charge code, and the history will show accurately, of course, when history is updated on Carol Barker's account.
Excellent job, Frank. So now, in summary, we went over typical OOPS situations where payments might have been posted to an invoice using the correct charge code, and we used our example member, Carol Barker. We also corrected payments that were posted to the incorrect member using Carol and Clive. In the case where history has been updated, we made those corrections in Magic. We corrected the payment, and we also made the AR reflect what was actually outstanding on each member's account accurately. We took it to the next level.
Now it's questions and answers.
Let's see if we have any questions from our viewers today. Give us a moment. One question that came in is there some way, excuse me, let me just move the screen. Let me try that again.
I think we just got 3 questions right away.
Is there some way we can have all these steps provided to us in a written format? The answer is yes. For those of you participating in today's webinar, at the end of the webinar, we'll provide you with the hyperlink so that you can see the written documentation step by step, as well as a link to preview this webinar again or share with your other staff people. That answers the next question. Where can I get a recording of this webinar? So at the end of this webinar, we'll show you on Rapattoni Corporation's website where you can preview this webinar again. How does this transaction reflect on transmittals? That is a great question. That's why the last step we showed, where we take it to the next level, we actually credit back the original transaction and recreate it accurately. That way, it will be represented correctly on your dues transmittals to state and national. The next question is, after creating a new invoice for Carol, the invoice date is now a new date and not the date it should have been created. Okay, in this instance, because we were doing the transaction today, I always like the date to be the date the transaction occurred, or currently. However, you can set your batch range to backdate an invoice, if that's what you need to do. So I prefer, again, in summary, I prefer to use any adjustments should be done in the current date as an accounting principle, but if you do want to backdate to the original date, you can do that by setting the date range within your batch.
Another thought is you can also use that reference field to note the original invoice date. You could say original invoice date, whatever that date was, so that you can see that.
When you use the charge code for an adjustment, will it adjust inventory? That's a great question. If the charge code is an inventory item and you put a quantity of -1, it will increase your inventory by 1. So if it's an inventory charge code, yes, it will adjust your inventory. Let's see what other questions we got. All these adjustments use classic accounting principles. So the question is how will this show up on the month end? The reason we do these transactions is that they will show up on the month end correctly. Notice that in the entire presentation for adjusting posted payments, we never had any monies. So the dollars never increased or decreased. All we did was adjust existing transactions.
Okay.
Any other questions? Keep going. Let me see. Last question. Does this work if the transaction has already been placed in history? Yes, it does work for transactions posted to history. If the transaction was not posted to history, then it's just as easy as voiding the receipt and writing off the invoice. In this instance, because history's been updated, you can't really touch the invoices. You have to create offsetting transactions. In the case of dues split, if the transaction is split via the e-commerce dues split, then you won't be able to do this for, then you will be able to also adjust the transaction because remember, you already received the monies. All we're doing is adjusting the accounts receivable. The monies have already been received. Everything is a non-monetary transaction. So dues split is not affected in the least bit. Okay, so we have one last question. It has to do with the audio portion. Some people couldn't get on the audio portion. They probably still can't hear me now. So if you know somebody that missed this presentation, I highly recommend that you have them watch the recorded version. So we're actually going to show you how to do that right now.
That's right, and this slide will be very helpful for those people that couldn't get audio. To view past and future webinars and to register for upcoming webinars, visit our website at www.rapattoni.com. Look for support, magic, webinars and training videos, and you will see a list of our past and future webinars you can register for or review the old ones. Also, please do visit our support site and look for our resource articles. We do have one article on the topic that we covered today, and Frank will take you there now.
Thank you, Diane. And I want to show you a quick way to get to our support, our website in the support section. You may or may not know this, but if you go into your Magic software and hit the Help at the top of the toolbar, go to About Support, a new form will come up. At the bottom, you'll see a button that says Magic Resource Center. When you click on that, it will take you directly to our website. Now, you will see the link here that will take you to our Magic support articles, as well as two below that, you will see the webinars and training videos. Click on that, you will see the list for both options. And remember, sign up early for our next webinar on August 24th. The spots are filling up as we speak, especially with a great topic of offering a discount for dues on IMS. Whether you want to give your members a discount for paying on IMS or you just want to give them a discount for paying by a certain date, we are going to show you how to set that up.
We hope you've enjoyed today's webinar on adjusting posted payments. I want to thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good day.